Hello, hello. Happy Sunday, everybody. I'll just give this a second to make sure everything's clicked in and clued up and all the things. All right, I think we're there. How is everybody? How has your week been? Mine's been great. I've been out 3 times, been lots of adventures this week, so it's been really good. This week's topic. Now, some of you might think I'm over panicking here, but I noticed something in the last week and I started to do a little bit of a deep dive about it, and that was my legs. Now, if you followed my journey, I've had quite the journey, gastric sleeve surgery and, loose skin surgery and all that kind of thing to get to this point in my life. So I am always watching my body and I'm always paying attention. Many of you know that I measure myself on a daily basis. Not a daily basis, but I measure things consistently. So I measure my ankles generally is what I'm measuring, unless I'm doing some kind of a challenge. Then I might measure different parts of my body. I weigh myself pretty much every day. And I have to say, none of that's changed. Okay, so my weight hasn't changed. I stay between the same kind of 2 kilos. I go up, I go down, but I stay within the set 2 kilos. That hasn't changed. My measurements have not changed. All right, so you're thinking, okay, so why do you think your legs are growing? So I have a slideshow for us tonight to demonstrate why I track things the way I do. And what do I do when I think, oh, something's amiss here? What do I do? So I thought it would be interesting for you to see somebody else that is in a space of like, oh, that's not quite right. That's not normal for me, and how to get myself out of it. So I am going to put the slides on and we will get started. All right, here we go. The slippery slope of lipedema legs, because it is a slippery slope, right? And if you're not on top of it and if you're not tracking things, that's when things can get out of hand really, really swiftly, right? So I've just got to remember it's over here that my mouse is, not over there. All right. So if you're new here, I'm Kylie. I have Hashimoto's. I have lipedema. I had a hysterectomy. I was diagnosed with lipedema by an oncology nurse who was giving me manual lymphatic drainage massage and said, oh, you're a lippy lady. I had no idea what that was at the time. And I had already become a naturopath, a clinical nutritionist, and a herbalist at that point, but I'd never once heard of lipedema. So that was really an interesting thing, but also a kind of a relief, right? Of okay, that's what's wrong. That's why I haven't been able to do anything. So this lovely picture of me, which now in retrospect, I'm so glad I have. I wouldn't have been at the time, but I'm so glad I have, because it reminds me, even though right now I'm like, oh, something's happening, of how far I've come. And this is why I fight every day to keep off what I've put the work in to do, right? So I had a gastric sleeve. I had that in 2022. And then I've had arm surgery, so I've had my arms done, and I had a lower body lift, so that's why my tummy is so flat here. That was in December. And I am about to have, in 2 months' time, a breast and side lift, which takes care of this stuff that's here, right? And my very saggy boobies now. All right, so if you don't know who I am, that's me in a nutshell. Disclaimer, always check with your doctor. Don't just listen to some random person on YouTube, even though I might have a few health credentials, and I've done this myself. We are all completely different. But I think it's worth fighting for, and it's worth checking out where you could possibly get to, because look at this here and look at this here. Even though this is not perfect by any means, it's a far cry, and my health and my wellness and my happiness has come a really long way, right? So I want that for you too. All right, what has me panicking? Okay. And you may not be able to see this, but I know it's there. So these 3 pictures here, this is before my lower body lift in December. This is after my lower body lift, and this was today. So just here, I'm not sure if you can see, there's a slight pouching of my thighs. And I started to notice this in reflections as I come into the condo building. There is, we have reflective doors and we have a mirror in the back of the lift in the condo, that sort of thing. And even though it was there before just after my body lift, and yep, okay, my legs are still big and they've got loose skin prior to the body lift, this little outy jutty bit is definitely distinctly getting bigger. And I've only become aware of it literally in this last week. I notice it because I watch myself. All right. And I try not to get too hung up about things, but I consistently watch because it's a slippery slope, right? So, and the other thing that I noticed was wearing a dress the other day. I noticed my knees knocking together or brushing up against one another, which it hasn't happened in a really, really long time since I weighed a lot more. So there's been no increase in my weight. As I said, I took my measurements again, nothing there. So this is literally, it's fluffiness. It is like when I touch it, it's like the loose skin. So I don't know whether or not this is from my lower body lift has now sort of started to sag back into place because it went right around my body. The thighs got lifted up, and whether or not that's dropping down since then, I'm not sure. But that's what's got me panicked, and that's what's got me looking at, okay, what do I need to do here? How do I get honest with myself and go, what's happening? All right. So this is what I always do. I don't stuff around with, I don't wallow too long. I don't sit in the, oh my God, it's too long with anything in my life. Never have. I swing straight into what's the answer here? What's the solution? And that could be part of my human design. If you've ever heard of human design, I have the gate of answers. So I don't sit in that wallowing too long. I'm just always straight away, right, what do we do? How do we fix this? All right. So what has changed is the first thing that I look at. All right, what's happened in the last 3 months that all of a sudden I've got that little bulge there? And so I had to look at, okay, so I had my surgery 3 months ago. There is a lot of things online that says if you have a full lower body lift, so they go right round your body, that can make your legs get bigger. I interviewed a few people about this who said no, because the lymphatics, when they get to your trunk area, goes inwards and is more central in your body. They're not on the surface. So that shouldn't happen. That's not actual reality. So I went ahead with it and was quite comfortable with it. But, whether or not that's a contributor, I've got to be open to that. This is the one that I think is going on. I changed my thyroid meds 4 weeks ago because I had more blood tests, and so I was still taking too much. So they were lowered. And this was when I put on the most of my thyroid weight, when I was 21 and my thyroid kicked it in, and I put on 50 kilos in a year. But I now know, looking back and with what I know now, that it was mostly lipedema that got put on, not so much normal weight, right? And that's why I couldn't lose it again once my thyroid labs were normalized. So this is the one that's got me curious. I'm not going to panic, although I'm a little panicked. I've got 2 more weeks before I have another blood test to check what that change did. But going off my history and with my thyroid issues, I'm like, ooh, have I been lowered too much? Is this what's made the change in my legs? Because as I said, I've only noticed it in the last week or so. So that's the one I'm sort of more curious about, but I'm waiting and I'm doing the full 6 weeks. I'll get another blood test and then I'll make a decision there. What else has changed? There's plastic everywhere here. And I talk about plastics and things like that in our environment. We drink coffee out of plastic every day. Everything is packaged in plastic. When we get meat from our meat man on the little cart, it goes straight into a plastic bag, hot meat. So is that impacting me finally after 6 months of being here? Is that plastic finally taking its toll? Should I be going to the extent of taking my glass bowl down to him and putting the meat directly into the glass bowl? I'm not sure what he'd think about that, but who knows? And so seed oils on top of that, seed oils are everything that you buy here, purchase here, has got some kind of seed oil in it. Has that been the contributor? Now, you also have to look at, when you take stock of things in your life, you also have to look at what aren't you doing, not just what you are doing, but what aren't you doing that you might have been doing before. Now, I'm doing less leg exercises. After my lower body lift, I didn't go back to my usual, because you couldn't walk the stairs for 6 or 8 weeks. But that time was up 6 weeks ago. And I do it every now and again. And we walk stairs in Bangkok here anyway, because there's stairs to get to the BTS stations and all that sort of thing. So I can still do stairs, and I can still walk up our 7 flights of stairs without sort of stopping. But am I doing it every day like I was before? No, I'm not. I just kind of got out of the habit, and now I haven't been doing it as much. So is it that? I stopped going on the exercise bike because, again, I couldn't exercise. By the time I was ready to come back to exercising, I had that bout of vertigo. I tried the exercise bike once and it gave me that vertigo-y feeling. But the vertigo's gone now, and I still haven't gone back down to check the bike again. So is it the lack of the movement of the lymphatics, or, using the exercise bike? Okay, so what else? Oh, I sit a lot for work. I am doing a lot of work right now, and I am always sitting. I'm doing a lot more work than I've ever done before, and I'm always sitting. Is it that? Because of that work, is also working. I have international calls at least once a week, and I have found myself having coffee and eating pomelo at 1 o'clock in the morning to wake up my time for these international calls, right? All these little things, right? And it may not be that it's just one of these things that have caused the problem. Like, I've got my eyes firmly set on the thyroid medication, but it could just be a mixture of all of these things that have just finally got to its tipping point, okay? So, you don't get there till you get there, and then suddenly over you go. So what else? Oh, Vegemite. So when my parents came over in February, one of our requests was Vegemite. For my fellow Aussies, we asked for Vegemite to come over, and we finally found a cracker that tasted like a saltine cracker, I guess, here. Luckily for me, there's hardly anything in the way of things that we used to be able to get that we can get here without it costing a fortune. And so we found these crackers, and Vegemite on crackers have started creeping in as a thing. And something I haven't written down here, I found a soy sauce that I quite liked that I've started sprinkling on my eggs. So while 75% of my meals is still eggs and meat of some description, I'm sprinkling this soy sauce over it. Is that a contributor? Likely, right? I wasn't having coffee every single day before. I'm now having coffee every single day. So the dairy component, where they say with lipedema we shouldn't be having dairy, and that's not bothering me. As long as I don't have cheese or sour cream, those kinds of things, I seem to be fine with the milk here. But again, is the coffee every day, or the milk component in that coffee every day, contributing to this situation? So again, I often don't think it's never the big things, right? It's always the little things that you do every day. I've always said that. And so that's why I stop and go, right, what things have changed since I moved over here? And these are the things in the last month or two, or probably the last 3 months since my surgery, that have really sort of like crept in there. So these are the things that I'm looking at. And I don't get upset with myself. I don't get, I think to myself, oh, I've got no willpower, I'm this, I'm bad, I'm all these things. We're human, right? We just do the best we can at any given time. And But when I am ready to get honest with myself, then I'm always quick to go, right, what are the things that I am doing right now that I know from all the research I've done about lipedema for this channel that I know are probably playing a part in those puffy little thighs, right? So that was my list of like, and I've been tracking this on my phone for the last couple of days, just trying to think, what things am I not paying attention to right now? And this would be them. Oh, and the plastic everywhere. I think I said that. Plastic in everything. So, all right. So, and with the less leg exercises, I even let the calf raises since my surgery. I haven't gone back to my calf raises, if you've watched that video. So I went back to them this morning in the shower, mind you. So, but it is one of those things, right? Okay. So what's the plan? I'm all about let's make a plan. Let's find the answer. Let's move forward. Let's get on top of it before it gets really bad, before it shows up on the scales, before it shows up in the tape measure. At the moment, it's just puffiness, which I'm going to say is inflammation in the thighs, because when I grab it, it's puffy, it's puffy. It's not hard or anything like that. So I always say, all right, let's get on top of this before we can get any further, which is why I weigh myself every day as well, because any more than that 2 kilos that I seem to sit around up and down, then it's emergency stations, right, for me in my head. All right. So the plan for me is taking stock again, like I have done, take the measurements, start again, look at what I'm doing in my world from a physical, mental, emotional, lifestyle, food, all of that, right? So I have to get really honest about what's happening. What am I eating? What have I let creep in that wasn't there before my surgery, before December? So that's kind of what I've been focusing on. I make a plan. And I'm just about at the end of my water challenge at the end of March. So that's in 1, 2, 3, 4 days. And so April is going to start the next challenge, which is going to be throw everything I can at my legs. It's not going to be one challenge. Normally I would say, oh, let's just do a single leg exercise or a single this or a single that. This time I'm going the opposite. This time I'm throwing everything at it to see if I can see a difference in that puffiness. And I've got 2 months before my next lot of surgery, so I'm going to throw everything at it and see what happens. So my options are exercise and diet, and then there's metaphysical options as well. So always make a plan. All right, well, let's go. So the physical, where are we? Physical, yes, physical plan. All right, back to the daily calf raises, clearly. Back to exercise biking daily, and legs up the wall. I don't know if you've seen this, but putting your legs up the wall is meant to improve your lymphatic flow remarkably. So I'm going to be adding that into my rotation. I'm going to try those leg raises. Have you seen those old-fashioned where you lay on the floor and your legs go up and down, right? I'm adding those in. I don't know why. They're speaking to me that I need to do that. And I'm probably going to hunt down some manual lymphatic drainage massages as well for my legs particularly. And, well, I know they start up here to unblock up here, but I'm going to try and add them into the mix if I can find some around that aren't too excessively priced, because while massages here in Bangkok are pretty cheap, not manual lymphatic drainage, that's considered a very specialized Western kind of thing, and they charge through the nose for that. So we'll see what I can find. So that's my physical plan. I'm going to have a daily set of exercises that I do. I will bring back the evening walks, and not that they disappeared, but they haven't been as regular as what they normally would. Having said that, most days I go to bed and I've done 8,000 to 10,000 steps, because we go out and we do things, but they're not actual walks. They're just wandering, right? So anyway, I haven't fully fleshed this out yet, but this is just to show you how I go about, okay, what have I got access to? What can I do? What's time-wise can I fit in? All that kind of thing. And time-wise, I have flexibility in my work, luckily. So this is about setting up a routine, I guess, down in the condo gym, and then going down and doing that every morning, and then doing my walk in the evening or something like that. So that's my physical plan, and getting back on the bike. All right. So the food plan is to get a lot cleaner with my diet again, to reduce the coffee to not be every day again, to can the Vegemite and the soy sauce on my meals. Hubby doesn't need to do that. He's doing great. But I need to probably cut them and reduce the seed oils and the questionable butter. Now, I go and buy a very particular kind of butter here because it's really, really hard to find pure butter that is of a reasonable price. And even the butter that I've bought from Macro here, it's 82%, and they call it butter oil. So I'm going to say, fat. But there's still things in it. And the way they write their ingredients, I'm like, is it? It doesn't have any other, it doesn't say it's got canola oils in it and things like that. But I look at this butter ingredients and I'm like, no, and I question it still. So I'm tempted to actually buy, West Gold butter or Kerrygold or one of those from the supermarket, which I can get. They're just dearer. But anyway, I'm still on the fence about that one. But definitely is to get a lot cleaner with my food again. And yeah, mostly it's those sauces. We talk about sauces as not being an issue. And I remember reading somebody's blog once years ago who was plant-based and I think she went to Raw or something like that. And she went to eating salads, but she let herself have salad dressings. And at the time she said, because I didn't get fat from salad dressings. But I got to say, from the soy sauce and the things that I'm sprinkling on my food, is that true? Or is that a big contributor and we don't think anything of it because we just sprinkle things? Sweet chili sauce here. It's on everything. Like, I put it on everything. So it's like, that's full of sugar. So I'm going to get cleaner again and go back to how I mostly ate before, which I mostly do still. As I said, so many of my meals are eggs, meat, and maybe onion in it. But that's it, and butter, and it's cooked in butter. So that is probably my mainstay of a meal anyway. But I just need to get a little bit more tighter with the condiments and things like that, and just see if that makes a difference. So that's my food plan. Well, that's my rough food plan. I will actually do a proper video on this and track it for the month like I do with my other challenges. So by the time I film that, I will have, decided on a proper plan. So this is just my thoughts so far with this. Lifestyle changes. In 2 weeks, I will check my bloods again and see what's what there. But lifestyle changes is also reducing plastics where I can. As I said, everything comes in plastic. So unless I'm going to, which I might have to, start cooking way more for myself and hubby than I do now, maybe that's the answer, just for a couple of months to see if that makes a difference. I'm not sure. The other thing that I hadn't written here, but also products in the bathroom, products in the kitchen. In Australia, I used a lot of natural products. I used natural dishwashing liquid. I used natural washing liquid in the laundry. Everything was natural, right? Here, it's almost impossible to find. And so far, you look into my bathroom and my kitchen, and it is filled with chemicals. It is filled with, smelly exfoliant scrubs and body scrubs and things like this. And I look around and go, I've gone from having all this natural stuff, and, did it take just 3 months for my body to catch up and then add in all these other things, and now it's sort of like showing up on my thighs? Don't know. I'll never know, right? Because you can't go back. But definitely I've got to look into my bath and make a better effort to find some more natural products. I found castile soap here, which is natural soap. I did bring a litre of that with me from Australia, but I found how to order that here on Lazada, which is like our Amazon. So that part's okay. But yeah, all the other, the shampoos, the body, all of that, yeah, I'm going to have to look at that a little bit more closely for this plan. All right. So this was my surgery from my lower body lift. So I don't want to be out of hand by the time the next surgery in end of May comes around. So in case you've just tuned in, I'm going to go back to, there we go, this little foofy bit on the side of my thighs here, right, that's just kicked out, and you can see it's there. Like, this was just after. That's why my face looks so weird, as I wasn't I wasn't doing great then. It is just out there, but for me, and otherwise it kind of looks the same, but for me, I can tell a difference, right? I can feel a slight difference when I look at myself walking into the condo in the reflection of the really, the glass. I know my thighs are slightly thicker, right? So I am getting onto it quick smart before anything more comes about. Now, so I'm having in my next surgery it's called a side lift, which will take away this little bit here, and a breast lift, right? Because they're down around my new belly button now. My legs will be the last thing that I do, and because my legs, I'll probably head to Turkey or Germany or Spain or somewhere like that is very familiar with lipedema surgery, and it's their bread and butter, right? The doctor that I use here in Bangkok for everything else, this is his bread and butter. The lower body lift, the face and neck stuff, the arms, the underarms, the breasts, that's their bread and butter. They do it every single day. But if I'm going to have my legs done, which at first I wasn't going to, because I was like, I'm 55, I don't need to have my legs done. I'm just going to live in leggings for the rest of my life probably. But now I'm like, you know what? I've done everything else. Why not? So it still might be a good year or two away before I do the legs, if I do them. But it will be going to somebody who does this as their bread and butter and is very intimately aware of lipedema and the processes. So I follow a few different doctors now on Instagram from these places. That's why I've named them, as in like Turkey, Germany, and Spain. I think there's some in Brazil as well, but I'll head more to the European sort of countries because that's closer for me. So there are ones in Brazil and Mexico and those sorts of places. So if you're looking to lipedema surgery, go look for those sorts of areas. But it will be the last thing I do, because that will give myself plenty of time to see if the lower body lift has actually impacted the lower half of my body, of the lymph backing up and that kind of thing, and whether or not I can mitigate that from getting worse. So, yeah, so that's why that'll also be, originally it was going to be the last thing on my list, because it wasn't exactly on my plans to do that, because I knew it was a big surgery. But, now I'm like, maybe I will, but it'll be the last thing I do so that I can see what happens. So that is me. I've got the plans, and this is why I track everything. This is why I track my measurements. This is why I get on the scales every day, and this is why I look at myself in the mirror very closely most days. It's why I watch myself when I walk into the condo in the reflective glass. It's why I look at my legs when I get into the lift and there's a mirror at the back of the lift in our building. Because I have worked so hard, I don't want to go backwards, and I know it's very easy with lipedema to go backwards because of hormones and that kind of thing. So, and because I've got thyroid issues, and because they're lowering my medication, I'm very aware of that. So I will consistently track that, and I will get on top of things as quickly as I can, because there is no point in ignoring stuff. There is no point in just sort of, putting your blinkers on and going, no, it's fine. It'll be fine. It'll all work itself out. No. I like to take control of these things while I can. And so that's why April 1st will be the start of my next challenge, which won't be a single challenge. It'll be throw everything at it challenge. It'll be throw spaghetti at the wall and see what helps the lipedema. That's going to be the next challenge. And I'll probably bring you an update at the end of April, but it'll be for the 2 months until my next surgery at the end of May. So we'll see what happens. So if you have any other ideas for me that I can add to my little list in the next few days before I come to a final, this is what I'm doing for my plan. Compressions may also play a part in that as well. I've got Fanker compressions. They're not medical grade, but they are compressions. So I may have to go into wearing those a little bit more. So there's a few things on my mind that I've got to get sorted in the next 4 days, but most of the things that I can control are what I put into my body, what I put onto my body, and how I move my body. Feel free though to chuck it out there if you've got ideas for me to add to my throw everything at it challenge. All right, that's it for me this week, and I hope everybody is doing well. Great to see you too, Judy, and I will talk to you all next Sunday. Bye.